enforcement is broken. The infractions committee hasn't had a hearing in almost a year, and it's, I think, not an understatement to say that cheating pays presently. If you seek to conspire to circumvent the rules, you can do it successfully and probably not get caught on most occasions.
Bob Bowlsby, the commissioner of the Big 12 yesterday. Cheating pays. Commissioner joining us now. You feel better after saying that yesterday?
Well, I don't want to retract any aspect of it, but I do think it bears mentioning, and I said it yesterday as well, that the vast majority of people in college athletics are of high integrity and they work hard to do things the right way. There are a few bad actors out there and people of low integrity who move around and stay ahead of the posse, but they typically the model is that there's plausible deniability among any coaching staff, and at the same time that they stay arm's length from these processes, there are systematic things happening with outside operators that are providing illegal inducements and impermissible benefits and early payments from agents, and we've all heard about some of the academic and admissions fraud that's around, and so sometimes it's some simple things like simply ignoring or circumventing the 20-hour rule, which is fairly frequently done. There's also some subtle forms of bad practice, like oversigning student athletes. When you oversign and you sign more scholarships than you have available slots, you have to run some people off. Similarly, when coaches retain the prerogative to determine where kids can transfer and where they can't, those things are subtle forms of bad business that are really creating some of the crevices that we currently have. And so, I think in large measure, John Duncan and his enforcement staff do an excellent job. But without the power of subpoena or the weight of perjury, it's a miracle that they ever get to the bottom of the most difficult cases.
Does the NCAA want to catch people, though, Bob?
Yeah, I think they do, but I also think that there's a summary disposition process that is a short stop before the formal infractions hearings, and the worst cases get to infraction hearings, but hundreds of cases are dealt with through summary disposition, and those are negotiated outcomes. They oftentimes know there's something going on there. They don't think they can prove it, so they go ahead and settle for a summary disposition that moves ahead with the school and moves ahead for the NCAA. But there are more and more sophisticated ways to circumvent the rules out there. And my point yesterday, and it was a fairly minor point in a 40-minute address that I had, was that if you want to bend the rules, or if you want to ignore the rules, or if you want to have people outside the university that are acting on your behalf to do things that are inappropriate, you can do that. And unless you have a scorned employee or an angry former student athlete or somebody, as you said, that whispers to the NCAA, there's a relatively low likelihood you're going to get caught.
Why wouldn't you cheat?
Well, it's I guess the answer is if you have personal integrity that would tell you that's not the right thing to do, I guess that's why you wouldn't cheat. And I think that's where the vast majority of coaches and administrators are. But there are also those that look at it and say, hey, that guy down the road is cheating, so this rationalizes something that I know is maybe not quite right that I can do because I'm going to try and keep up with the Joneses.
Who runs the college football or college sports right now?
Well, It's always been the members running it. The NCAA gets portrayed as this one-eyed ogre in Indianapolis, but the reality is that whatever the NCAA is today or has ever been is the aggregation of decisions that people on the board and people in the substructure have made, essentially the votes of members. The challenge has been, and it's one of the reasons why the 5 high-visibility conferences are seeking some autonomy, is there are 350 schools in Division I, and what is a good decision for one set of schools is a very bad decision for another. And so we have difficulty getting meaningful change through the system.
But do you see them seceding, though, Bob, that you will have? I feel like you're going to have these major conferences that will secede from the union and set up their own shop and govern, have their own governing body.
Well, that's certainly one of the options that we have discussed, but we felt like the best approach was a Big Tent approach that honored the fact that everybody in Division I wants to have the Division I brand, and they want access to the championships, and they want access to the revenue. But the fact is, more than 90% of the NCAA championships are won every year by the 65 schools in the high visibility conferences. Most of the equity in the system is brought there, and indeed those 65 schools in the 5 leagues are what most people see as the face of intercollegiate athletics. And so if we can get a solution inside the NCAA, and there are some indications that we can, I think that's the best solution. We certainly are keeping our powder dry on the formulation of something with just the 5 of us, or maybe the 10 FBS conferences as a separate organization. I don't think that's the best course, and I don't think that's the one we'll take, but it's certainly still an available option.
But the Big 5 commissioners have spoken about seceding from the NCAA.
Well, you have to remember that the commissioners don't make those decisions.
But it's been discussed, though.
It's been discussed as an option if 2 other options fail, the Big Tent approach and also a separate division. If absent any progress on any of those, I think we would have to think about some other model.
He's Bob Bowlsby, the commissioner of the Big 12, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Sometimes when you speak out, the first thing somebody is going to say is, "Well, how clean is your house? How prevalent is cheating in the Big 12, in your opinion?"
Well, I really trust our coaches. I trust our athletic directors. We have certainly had instances in the past where we've had NCAA violations, including major violations. And in fact, that's one of the real ironies of the whole discussion is that the 65 of us have to also own the fact that the majority of the high-profile infractions cases have occurred among our membership in one form or another. So do I think our guys are doing it the right way? Yeah, I do. I believe in the people that we have. We have allegations from time to time, including some fairly serious ones that were alleged at Oklahoma State a year ago, and the NCAA has been on their campus for a year and really has yet to find anything that was alleged or that should be of concern. So, I think our people are really doing a good job, but it can jump up at any time. Because a lot of this is happening outside the university, and so therefore some of the traditional compliance mechanisms that are available on campus don't ever come up with what's going on.
It's so tough to police it, Bob. And you know what? The only way somebody gets caught is if somebody rats somebody out or somebody disgruntled. Somebody gets the media gets a call here. So do I think it goes on? Yes, because you follow the money. This is no different than Wall Street or any other big business. You follow the money, and there's so much money right now in college football.
Yeah, well, and that's right. And one of the things that's hard to do is follow the money because we don't have the power of subpoena or the weight of perjury, so you can't get into people's bank accounts and you can't invoke interstate commerce and some of those kinds of things that governmental agents have at their disposal, and it's one of the reasons why I made the comment about the possibility of some sort of uniform federal statutes, because even something that was a relatively low bar that would say it's inappropriate to tamper with a recruit, it's inappropriate to seek to affect the outcome of a game, it's inappropriate to provide an illegal inducement or an illegal benefit. Just a few things like that might provide an awful lot more ammunition when the NCAA goes out to try and investigate.
Bob, good to talk to you. Keep stirring it up. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good to be with you, Dan. I appreciate all you do for sports.
Bob Bowlsby, the Big 12 commissioner. We'll come back. We'll get to your phone calls. This is the Dan Patrick Show.